Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Writer's Edge. I'm your host, Christy Stratus, and tonight we're lucky enough to have a much beloved previous host of The Writer's Edge as well, and this time he is a panelist. He's going to be introducing himself in a minute with everyone else. Tonight we're going to talk about the ever-changing, always important topic of the author platform. And as always, even though we do have set topics, I'm going to be watching the chat for your questions in case you have any. So I will try to get you to your questions, and if we can't take any questions, any ones that I miss, then I'll make sure that they get put in the comments of the YouTube video afterwards for our panelists to answer. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to hit the bell to get notifications when we go live or post a new video. And without further ado, let's have each of our panelists introduce themselves, and then I'll go last. So let's start with Josh then.
Hey, Christy. Thanks for having me back on the show. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Joshua Robertson. I am the author of Thrice 9 Legends, which has several books underneath its belt in the saga. And I recently have another book coming out called Blood and Bile. It'll be out on June 7th that I'm co-writing with my brother, J.C. Boyd. As always, I'm excited to be here with wonderful authors talking about topics. And this particularly is one I think that is going to strike the hearts and minds of everyone who is able to, I guess, sit down and listen to it or watch whatever you have loaded up afterwards, because we know how huge author platforms are in a modern writing day society.
Yeah, I see a lot of stuff about starting out with them, so it'll be great to hear what you guys have to say about continuing on. So, all right, let's go with Christina next.
Hi, thank you again, Christy, for having me back. My name is Christina Rienzi. I'm a suspense author. I write in all genres of suspense. I currently have out Choosing Evil and Breaking Evil, which are part of in the Ensouled trilogy, which is with a small press publisher called Frost Books. And I've indie published a short story anthology called Twisted, Luring Shadows, which is a mainstream thriller novella, and Winter Road, which is also a suspense thriller. And I have two stories that I'm actually getting ready to hopefully finalize and publish, a sci-fi thriller called Among Us and a cozy mystery called Sip Happens. So I'm all over the place, all suspense, all different genres. And I also have a short story coming out, which is part of a bigger anthology with Sisters in Crime Central Jersey, which is an organization I'm the president of. So lots of stuff going on. But thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here, Christina. And let's go with Andy next.
Hey guys, I'm Andy Peliquin, dark fantasy author of the Last View Solari and Queen of Thieves series. I actually have the second book in my Queen of Thieves series coming out in July. I'm really excited about that because it's the fantasy world's first bank heist. So it was a ton of fun for me to write. But I'm really excited to be here and to share my 2 cents on this amazing and important topic.
Great, thanks for being here, Andy. And last but certainly not least, Joe.
Well, thanks for having me on the show again, Christy. I really appreciate it. I'm Joe Compton. I'm the author of the crime thriller Amongst the Killing. I have my sequel, We the Moral Majority, coming out probably at the end of this year, maybe early next year. And I am also the host and producer of Go Indie Now, which drops its 15th episode tomorrow.
Great. Thanks so much, Joe. And so we're going to jump right into the questions. As you know, this panel is really about those who have already started an author platform. So not just starting one, but continuing on from there. So let's just start out with hearing from each of you. What is your favorite social media platform that you personally prefer, and why do you prefer it? Anybody?
I can definitely start off, Christy. Twitter is by far my favorite social media platform. I've been building my Twitter for a number of years now. I think that I'm well over 30,000 followers now on Twitter, and I just like the versatility of it. Not only can, I market well through Twitter because I can blast something that lasts about a minute out there to reach readers, but I also can connect with readers pretty quickly, whether through direct messaging or I use Twitter like a functional text messaging platform where I can just text back and forth with folks. And I love the use of GIFs on Twitter. So anybody that follows me on there knows that I am oftentimes responding with GIFs. But it's just a very versatile platform. I can connect with people really easy and really quick. And it kind of serves like an overall text messenger for me. So yeah, that's probably mine, which again, I've talked about before in marketing books where I have been most successful in actually selling books. One is always word of mouth. Two is always my newsletter. But Twitter has been a very strong third coming in place in terms of people actually purchasing books through my Twitter platform.
You know, I'd have to say I'm the opposite of Josh. I've got like 1,300 Twitter followers, and I really have no idea how to use Twitter properly. So I'm guilty of occasionally tweeting. I think I tweet once a day or something. But Facebook is where I really enjoy it the most because I really like talking to people directly. I feel like I excel when I get to talk to people. So I'm always making new friends on Facebook and adding, whether it's authors or readers, just talking to people. I have a reader group that I post in pretty much on a daily basis. I do a live reading through Facebook Live. I run competitions, the Facebook events, just the functionality and the connectivity with Facebook makes it easier for me because I know who I'm connecting. Whereas Twitter is just putting something out there and I'm not really sure what's happening with it.
I'll jump in, I guess. I would probably have to agree with both. I'm just getting back into Twitter. Twitter is a great place to connect with people in the writing community. I do have a hard time connecting one-on-one with readers there, but I love Twitter. I love sharing information. I would have to say, though, my very favorite is my reader group on Facebook. I have a group, it's fairly small, about 100 people, but I do connect on a daily basis. I do giveaways. I give them access to my reader copies in advance of others. And I also share, photographs at book signings or events first. And I just use it as my place to connect, and really anyone who's in that group gets access even before my newsletter VIPs. They're kind of like, this is my private reader group. I also have gotten into Instagram for more than just personal, and I just love the personal aspect of Instagram to connect with readers. But so I'm kind of all over the place, but I would say if I had to pick just one, it would be my reader group on Facebook.
I would probably go with YouTube. YouTube is the platform for me. I think it's the best way to actually connect. It's the best way to see and who you're talking to, and you get to know the person as well as, connecting to readers and writers and everybody in between. And you also get to have conversations with people like that aren't interrupted or have character, limits and things of that nature. YouTube is a platform that is very versatile and can be used properly. If used properly, can be a great marketing resource as well. I use Twitter a lot. I use Facebook a lot. I use Instagram a lot, but I use them all to connect to my YouTube, and that's where it all funnels into. So.
That's great. And we actually have a lot of diversity there, which is awesome. So I'm going to probably want to ask you guys more specific questions as we get into this about your chosen platforms. But for now, I have to say, I noticed that nobody mentioned Goodreads, and I have seen a lot of authors say, like, Goodreads is over, Goodreads is terrible, I hate Goodreads, and I've heard various reasons for that. But do you guys agree, and like, what is going on with Goodreads that it's not a good platform anymore?
I think Goodreads was definitely very effective a few years ago. And so anybody who had built something up at that time, they've still got it to be very effective engagement with the readers because they have that following. Just like with Facebook, you've built it up over a couple of years, so you have that engagement. Whereas as a new author trying to break into Goodreads, the communities or the groups and the discussions, it does feel a little bit oversaturated. Sort of in a way, the way that Facebook and the whole pages thing is oversaturated. So Goodreads, I think it has more limitations than other social networks. So it's harder to get innovative and get creative with your ways of using it. That's just my 2 cents, because I have tried to break into Goodreads and posted and started groups and discussions and all of that. And it's just a lot of work without a whole lot of benefit.
Yeah, I think Andy hit the nail on the head when he said if you were in Goodreads beforehand, you have more benefit from it because it hasn't changed. It doesn't evolve. It hasn't moved forward. It hasn't adjusted itself towards Facebook, Twitter, or all of the other social programs that have lapsed it and taken it over, because it's the same platform it's been for the last 15 years. And because of that, people who post there, who have been posting there for 15 years, are comfortable with it now. but those who get into it say this is like going backwards. And I think that's the problem with Goodreads for the most part.
Yeah, I do believe that basically the more responsive the platforms, whether it's your website, your newsletter, your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever it is, the more responsive, the more you adapt to the various trends, the changes in the perspective. And like Joe said, the fact that Goodreads isn't changing at all is sort of like it's old school now.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody can add anything better to what Andy started with there in terms of the issues with Goodreads. Like him, I've tried to break into Goodreads for years now. I have lots of friends on Goodreads, but actually connecting with them is really difficult. I've started groups, I've been a part of groups, I've tried to communicate with people, and having any type of real relationship on there has proven to be very difficult. I get a lot of spam mail that comes through on Goodreads. I get invited to lots of groups on Goodreads, but the actual real interaction there has been, I don't know, it's been lacking.
To add to that, I don't hang out on Goodreads for the same reasons, and I feel like it's a place for readers, and I don't want to be interjecting any of my, sort of opinions about, different things. I just kind of want to have my author profile out there. The only thing I will use it for, though, and this is more for me to get my books in the hands of people who may be interested, is I do giveaways. I've committed, and I have an assistant who helps me to rotate my paperbacks, and so I'm giving away a book a week on Goodreads. And so every time, the reason I'm doing it that way and so frequently is because I'm always on the new, the just started and the just ending list. So my name is always out there. And I found that the one good thing about that is I'm getting my physical book in the hands of readers, which, again, I'm giving it away, but it makes me feel good that I'm doing that. Somebody signed up for it. I'll also find that people are adding my book to their, TBR pile, whether they're reading it or not, who knows. I do get more reviews that way, though. I found people have read and reviewed my book that way, that I, could give them away my book on Facebook. I can't even tell you how many times, and the reviews are really hard to get. So for me, the giveaways are what I go to Goodreads for. I give away a book a week, and that's, that's what I use it for. Otherwise, I try to stay away.
I feel like Goodreads has sort of gone the way of those big Facebook groups, where in a way it's almost like authors just sort of shouting their books at each other, and the readers, the authors are looking for readers and they can't find them, so they end up just talking to each other, and that it doesn't, everyone's trying to sell to someone else who's trying to sell to you. So there's much less benefit for it, which is why a lot of people that I know, they just stop posting on those Facebook groups, the Kindle junkies with 50,000 people. They're not going to do anything anymore because it's just a bunch of authors, buy my book, buy my book.
Yeah, and the word that you used before, oversaturated, is the perfect word, actually, because I've seen that on so many platforms, and that's exactly what happens. But just real quick, first of all, I'm just going to say that in the chat, I'm seeing a lot of people agreeing that Goodreads is just not that fantastic for various reasons. It's, just always backed up. It's like a maze. It's confusing. Menus are not so great, and neither is navigation. But just real quickly, I would like to ask, has anyone else, since Christina, you mentioned Goodreads giveaways, has anyone else on here also tried Goodreads giveaways? Did you think it was good? And did anyone try Amazon giveaways? Because I know that someone the other day was asking about it and no one had tried it. So I wonder if any of you guys have tried either.
I've done both. With Goodreads giveaways, I give away the book and I send it out, and I'll even follow up with the readers who get them, but it's very rare that I get a review on it even after they finished it. And they'll even say, oh yeah, I'm going to read it, or I'm finishing it, but it very rarely results into a review for me. Amazon I've had more luck with it in terms of it connecting with readers responding back to me, and then leaving a review after it's done.
And also using Amazon, I think if people put it on the wish list, Amazon will send a reminder to the person, hey, you've got this, sort of like in your cart. So it's on your wish list. Why not go ahead and buy it later down the line? That's the benefit of doing it on Amazon. That's the same concept that they have with Goodreads of adding it to the want to read. But how many people are checking their Goodreads all the time to see what's on their want to read list? Most people just go straight to Amazon, to find what they're going to read.
Yeah, those are good points. And since we're on the subject, we do have a question from JD. Hi, JD. He says, does anyone have challenges having people put reviews on more than one platform? And, you know, just based on the fact that, you know, Josh, you're saying you had more success with Amazon than Goodreads. Probably we have all had a similar situation with getting people to post across platforms. But, you know, what about you guys? Have you had that experience as well?
I have found in my own experience that people that are willing to, essentially people that get it through Amazon are more willing to post across platforms, where the ones on Goodreads, they'll just put it on Goodreads. Now, I know that Amazon, somebody may be more familiar with this than myself, but Amazon recently picked up Goodreads in terms of owning the company or connecting it with Amazon, or in terms of sharing things, but those reviews don't cross over yet. Even though you see other things crossing over boundaries, the reviews don't.
That would be helpful. That would be very, very helpful, actually. Since they seem to be able to figure out who's friends with who and remove Amazon reviews, why can't they just cross post? Well, anyway. All right, so
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I found that on Goodreads, I'm getting more ratings than I am reviews. So everybody likes that feature of Goodreads, so they can rate it and they don't have to leave a comment or review. And I have more ratings, you know, higher stars, and you know, more people have actually rated the book because they just rate it and they don't leave a review. So I found that is something that Goodreads does, but it doesn't do anything for me either way. So I don't know.
Yeah, people do like to leave just a star without actually telling you, and that drives some authors crazy when it's a 1-star review and they have no idea why. That can be frustrating for sure. Okay, so let's talk about Facebook for a minute. I know that was a couple of people's favorites on here. So on Facebook, there are so many ways to use it, between like the idea of groups and private groups and pages and profiles. There's just a lot of different ways to do it, especially if you have like a group for ARC readers or a group for just fans of you and stuff. Excuse me. So what have you found works the best? What do you tend to do? And do you think that privating a group or anything makes it, I don't know, better, special? Just let me know what you guys do on Facebook.
I like to do, I have a street team group, which hasn't done anything in months. The street teams are a little bit harder to work with, but the readers, it's much less, you know, oriented around the actual creation of the book and more about just talking about the book and sharing and things like that. I've done live readings from my books, both the ones that have been published and the ones that I'm working on now. You know, I'll send out a short story to my subscribers, and that week I will do a 2,000 word snippet live reading, and people seem to really enjoy it, to the point where I've actually started I started a whole podcast with that concept of doing the live readings of the various authors' books and all of that. And it's a lot of fun for me because I like doing the audiobook narrator sort of thing, and running giveaways and interacting with people, you know, showing them the covers, basically things to make your hardcore readers feel special. And the more you interact with actual readers instead of fellow authors, the more your reader group grows. And that's the sort of people that you want to populate in your reader group. Now, if you're working with a bunch of fellow authors, it's a little bit different. It's harder to do an ARC group and actually get people to post. There are, again, I think it's a lot of people who have already built are seeing good results, but actually doing it now. Most of the readers are already in 5 or 6 street team groups and 10 or 12 fan groups. So it's much harder to break into it now.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest parts is just the most common question I see anyway is how do we get readers into those groups as opposed to just more authors, you know, and that's exactly the toughest part. Did you say, sorry, Andy, if I missed it, did you say that you do private things like that or you don't, like groups for, go ahead.
I have it on the private setting. People can still see the group, see what's going on, but they can't post or they can't comment. So it's not secret, which I had it as first, and it was much harder to get people to join because they couldn't click I want to join. So now with it as private, there is that air of exclusivity, and people do want to be part of something that is exclusive, the fear of missing out. But then it's still open enough to the public that people can say, hey, I want to join. And one thing that I found is highly effective for finding readers is the Facebook events. Like at every Facebook event that I've done, I have sat at the computer, like I've done 3-day book launches, and I have been at my computer from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. And the whole time, while the other authors are posting, I'm talking to the people who have commented, people who have liked even. Before, Facebook used to have a much more open messaging system where you could just message anybody basically, and you could, and they would see it. Now it's more of a message request, so it's harder to get those messages through. But a lot of the people that I have found and sort of converted to my hardcore readers are people that I met at other events, and I engaged with them directly, knowing that they were readers. Actually, one of the first questions I ask is, are you a reader or an author as well? And sort of that sort of tailors the conversation that I have with them over Messenger. And it's, you know, it's an investment of 10, 15, 30 minutes with each reader. But in a way, that personal touch is what converts people not just into one-time buyers, but lifetime fans.
Those are great points. Christina, I know you have also a private Facebook group for readers, Rienzi Rebels, is that right?
Yes, that's right. And my group is also closed. It's not, it's people can see it, it's public, but you have to request to get in. I do let people post, and you know, it's much more casual. I do, I have giveaways and things like that. I think the way that similarly, to Andy, is the way that I've gotten people to sort of join is connecting with them at different signings. I'll also, wherever I am, if I have a newsletter sign up, you know, it's on my newsletter. I have it on my website. And there are times in the year where I do giveaways that I'll do that are public. And while my Facebook page is kind of, it's hard to reach anybody on your Facebook page unless you're doing an ad. And I will do sponsored ads for different things. One of the things I did a sponsored ad for was a giveaway in my private reader group. And so people joined my private reader group to get, to, you know, be a part of the giveaway and stayed. And I've engaged with them, and I found readers that way. And I mean, sometimes people, I guess, I'm assuming people would leave if they didn't win. I mean, that's sort of what I thought, well, maybe these guys will leave. But they stayed, and you know, my numbers went up, and I was able to sort of maintain that, and that, you know, gave me the confidence to get even more engaged. Because I think, you know, when it's crickets, it's really easy to get discouraged and say, well, what am I spending my time talking if no one's, you know, everyone's so busy, no one's listening, or, you know, maybe this isn't where I should spend my time. And then once you start to get the engagement, just I guess like anything else, it's reinforcement that, you know, people want to hear from you. So I love the one-on-one. I love the real-time conversations. I do live video in there. I will, you know, post just fun stuff, just like a fun meme, and ask questions. And I just try to make it a fun place. And then that way I'm not always selling my book in there or talking about my book and me. I'm talking about, you know, the reading community. What are you guys reading these days? That's great. What do you want to share about your week? Like anything to connect. And then when I have something that is going on in my book world, I will get the response for that. It's about consistency too, and just making it a priority, which is, you know, it's if writing is your job, then that's, you know, that's something that you have to put the time in. But I do kind of cross promote that group because I feel like I'm getting one-on-one real conversations. People are getting excited. They're giving feedback. It just feels much more like I'm connecting. Even if it's only 100 people, it's 100 people that are in my like little tiny circle. And that, I mean, to me, that feels great. So I'm happy with that.
That's really nice. Joe, were you going to say something?
I had the moderator of the last takeover event I did last time actually messaged me and asked me if I was stealing time from people because my posts kept going back up to the top. And that's because I utilize a little trick. And then for people who are out there looking to do better in these takeovers and not get lost in the shuffle, if you post in the comments, if you do one post and do it in the comments the rest of the way, your links in the comments, it'll always post to the top because it's a link and people are clicking on it. And when they click on it, it goes up to the top. It's an algorithm that Facebook uses. And So by consolidating your posts, like I see people do 20, 30 posts at a time on these Facebook takeover events. And I always wonder why they do that, because if you did 4 or 5, you'd be much more effective and it will go right to the top. And you just have to consolidate them. And I also think with Facebook too, another thing that's really happening out there that's revolutionary, well, not revolutionary, but starting to make waves is the going live. They're encouraging it. They're fostering it. They want you to do it. And if you do it, they're going to promote you to the top of everybody's newsfeed. So that's what they're aiming for. They want this to work. They want to take this space over. So they're dedicating a lot of bandwidth and a lot of extra space in their platform for you to go live and be on their platform. So going live is a really important thing too. If you haven't mastered that, that's something I would recommend highly taking a look at and doing it, especially in the takeover event, because that'll charge people from outside of the event itself, from your personal page or any page that you're on. They can see that inside the takeover, and they'll go to the takeover, and then they have to join to get into the takeover. So they join, and then they stay. They typically stay, and a lot of my friends will come to my takeover when I'm doing takeovers, and then they'll stay and talk and comment on everybody else's posts throughout the day. So it does drive people there as well. So
I have to completely agree with Joe on that. I actually stole that from him. The last several takeovers that I've done, I just did one live video, had it last about 15 minutes or so, and I put all my links in the comment sections as I was talking and had them already prepped so I could just comment down below to drive people either to my newsletter or to my website. And I left up the live video, and I found that it was much more effective. I engaged more with readers in the actual event, instead of constantly trying to jump around to all these different posts where people were talking at it. It was a wonderful thing. So thanks for that, Joe. As for Facebook groups, oh, sorry, Christy. As for Facebook groups, I haven't found one better than these yet. So I'm going to leave him to be the expert on that one.
Yeah, all I was going to say, Joshua, I just wanted to say that you're good at like sort of scheduling times when you go live. And I think that Joe has commented on that before too, that you have a real knack for like getting it in order, sort of, so that we're all like waiting for you to go live, sort of, which is a great idea. I mean, why not? Similar to YouTube when you say, I'll be posting on this day at this time, you know? So, okay, we do have another question from the panel that I'd like to cover. This one's from JB. He says, what's everyone's most successful venture book advertising wise? So I know we've already dealt a little bit with like Goodreads and Amazon, but you know, it's okay to repeat that if that's the most success you've had.
In terms of selling books, if that's what we're talking about, word of mouth is still where I have the most success at. It's just one reader telling another reader, or a reader telling a family member about my books and it going that route. Outside of word of mouth, newsletter is probably the second place that I sell most of my books at. And Joe made a really good comment earlier about how he uses a lot of different social media platforms, but he funnels them all towards his YouTube. I love using Twitter, but in all honesty, all my social media platforms funnel everything back to my newsletter. So that's really where I have the most success at. I love my newsletter. I get emails now daily from fans, which is an amazing thing. I never thought I'd be there as an author, and I wake up to hundreds of emails from fans who receive my newsletter, and I'm spending an hour interacting back and forth with them, and that's an awesome experience. It's more that one-on-one that I think folks are talking about with Facebook. I get that through my newsletter, but that's what I do, is I funnel everything back to the newsletter and try to get people there, because once you sign up for a newsletter, that's volunteered. It's a volunteer recipient of my information. They're coming there to receive this in their inbox every day. Where if it's Facebook, you may end up seeing that and not necessarily want to. Maybe you just want to be my friend but not see stuff on my books. And Twitter, I'm definitely blasting stuff into your face.
That sounded way too dirty, Joshua.
I was waiting for you, Andy. I set it up for you.
I appreciate that. I was definitely ready to pounce on it. I too actually have seen the best results through newsletters. I've done a few newsletter builders, which ends up with a lot of cold subscribers. And that's where you have to be creative in the way that you pitch them on your thing. And actually, Joshua's got a really awesome newsletter sequence that I basically stole and adapted to my own. And I've got a lot of people who have interacted with me, just like Josh says. They've actually emailed me. I got an email like an hour ago from someone who read the story that I wrote on anger issues, and they're like, "Oh, this is such, you know, I started and couldn't put it down. I'm going to read all the rest of your stuff." You know, and just using the newsletter thing like that to get people. And instead of doing it every time, buy my book, it's more like getting people, you know, get to know me, share something that I find interesting, share something. I talk about my Asperger's diagnosis, like in one of my first email newsletters to people, to new subscribers, so that they get to know me, they get to understand me. And I've actually gotten a lot of people saying, you know, that's awesome that you not only talk about it, but you embrace it and you use it in your writing. And so by making that email newsletter thing as personal as possible, it makes them more open to actually wanting to click through and see what you write about. But I will say that I've done a lot of my sales through Facebook events, the ones that I've hosted, where, again, like I say, I'm just talking to people and, you know, interacting with people who other authors have invited to my event, and just, you know, messaging them or commenting on their posts and talking with them. That's the way that I've gotten the most sales in the past, pre-newsletter, of course.
That's really great. And it's actually a great transition, unless anybody else has something to add to the advertising thing. Okay. Then that's actually a great transition to the newsletter topic, which I wanted to also get into. The difference between a blog and a newsletter. Now, obviously, your blog is on your website and the newsletter is coming straight to an inbox, so that is a big difference. But what is the difference in content, and who are you trying to reach in each case? And do you even, if you have a newsletter, do you even still have a blog?
Yeah, that's a great question, Christy. Those that have followed me for a long time know that I actually started blogging before I started publishing. I started blogging about 2 years before publishing my first book. I built a huge community from that, and I oftentimes claim that as being my path to where I got to today in terms of connecting with people. I've seen blogging become oversaturated, and I've kind of stepped back from doing it regularly. I still shoot out a blog probably about every couple of weeks. I'll kind of give people an update on there about what I'm doing, but I've really ventured more into using primarily my newsletter instead of my blog.
I'm actually kind of sort of the opposite. I am a blogger by profession. It's my day job. So it's easy for me, you know, in addition to all the other blog posts that I'm writing, just to find something that I find interesting and hammer out, you know, 500 words in 10, 15 minutes and shoot it onto my blog. So I try to post about 3 times a week, and I will post a book review once a week. And then I'll try to find stuff like, I love Psychology Today. I'll just scroll through the different articles and I'll find some fascinating things that are in absolutely no way related to me, but then I can find a way to tie them into whatever I'm writing about, or my characters or my stories. And then I post about it. And then it sort of gives people who come to that particular platform an idea of what to expect from me in my books. And then it sort of rounds out the platform in a way that maybe, you know, Twitter or Facebook can't. So the content for a blog is much more informational focused in a way. Newsletter is all about, you know, you and what you're doing, what you're accomplishing, your writing, whereas a blog is much more information that helps people get to know you and the way you think, but more in a way of like instruction almost.
I found a blog helps when you do guest posting too, when you invite people to post on your actual site. That helps a lot too, to draw not only your site in, but to draw them attention to them and lead people to other people's blogs and newsletters. I think that's the difference between a blog and a newsletter for me, is that newsletter is more informational. It's directly relating to what I'm doing, whereas a blog, I think, is more of a generalized topic that somebody's covering and giving insight into. And I just started on my website doing Q&As, and those have become very, very popular. So I'll send that out to a bunch of people, and people will respond to that as well. So I think the blog and guest blogging has helped draw more people to my site, but also helped those people branch out and get more exposure as well. So
I feel like the blog is sort of like your business card. It's not something that that everybody has. A lot of authors have no business cards, but when you have it, it makes you look more professional. It makes people sort of respect that you have one more piece in the author platform puzzle. So maybe it's not the main source of traffic. I know it's not where I spend most of my time, but just having it and people see that I'm dedicated to updating it and posting more content and being professional about it, I'm a professional writer, author persona, which is sort of what we're all trying to do here.
And I'd have to agree with, I think, everybody on different areas, but my newsletter is really an update. It's a monthly update on what's going on in the book world. Am I publishing something? Where am I going to be signing a book? What's going on? And I have a standard format that I use, and I don't always do it monthly, which is terrible. I need to be more consistent, but I do give away a book in my newsletter as well. So if I ever do it every 2 months, I give away 2 books. So I make sure to do those giveaways, but that's what the newsletter is. It's more of a professional looking, like e-zine kind of what's going on with me in book life. And I do get a lot of comments and emails just about people who haven't had a chance to go on social media that go, oh, I got your email. That's so great. What's going on? And I have all my links in there. I have my Facebook group in there. It links to everything. My blog is a lot more personal. It is on topics that I consider part of my author brand, which really is me. My author brand is me and the things I love and the things that interest me. And I try to write about those topics, but in a personal vein, and it's always timely. Like if something happened in a particular week, I try to use that current event. And usually it's either, a current event like newsworthy or something in my life that I can relate to a topic that I'm passionate about and that people know I'm passionate about. People who follow me know the things I love. I mean, you could just take a look at any of my feeds and you'll see the same kind of thing. You'll see dogs, you'll see wine, you'll see paranormal stuff. I mean, it's all the same. So, but I do it in a way where I feel like the reader has an opportunity to walk away with like something not necessarily instructional or informational of fact driven, but more motivational or inspirational. It gives them something to think about. It gives them something to kind of feel good about. And with my blog, I get a lot of feedback. Just I'll get people forwarding it or replying or saying, oh, I love the way you write, let me read your books. And we all know that fiction and nonfiction are entirely different in many ways, but they have some threads of similarity. So I hope that with people reading a blog that's very casual and comfortable, that they'll get a sense for who I am, and maybe that will certainly take them to my books. But even if it doesn't, it's great to connect that way. So I kind of use them in the same way as everyone else.
Yeah, those are great.
I kind of want to add on what Christina was saying, because I think it's really important for viewers to know that you can really be successful no matter what social media platform you use or how you approach it. But there's really a common theme that all of us are talking about, and it's community and it's connection. I took a really great seminar about, how no matter whatever it is that you're doing, if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you're really selling yourself, and you're finding what it is that you're good at and what's special about you, and you're giving that back to your community in order to connect with them. And that's what I'm hearing from everybody on the panel is, I'm connecting them through my blog or through my newsletter or Facebook. I'm connecting with them and giving them a piece of myself so that they can understand who I am, so that you can essentially build that fan base around you. And I think that's important for readers or for viewers to know is, no matter what you're doing, that's what when you're coming down to publicity, you're selling yourself. And I talked about this just recently, which I've gotten some slack from it, from the writing world. But back in 2002, America was selling about 88,000 books a year. Now we're up to over 1 million books being sold a year. There are hundreds of thousands of authors out there, and we're only 5 of those. And so trying to stand out from the crowd, it has a lot to do with being comfortable in your own skin and letting people know who you are so they can connect with you and you can form that real relationship.
I'm really glad you said that, Josh, because that's actually the biggest point. Like you said, it's a great summary of the whole point of putting yourself on social media, doing newsletters, blogs, and everything. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. We do have a question from the chat, and it's from Rebecca. So she says, can you guys talk about how you set up your newsletters and build your email list? So what I would also distill from that is, like, maybe we could hear what you use as a newsletter service, because everyone thinks different things a lot of the time, and some people have strong feelings, but definitely how you build your email list as well.
I just talked. Do you guys want me to go? So I use MailerLite. I actually used MailChimp for several years, and then I moved over to MailerLite, which I like that better. I feel like it's a more user-friendly platform, and it's just really functional for me, but it does cost to use it, where MailChimp never did cost me anything. I do have a newsletter sign up on my blog that people get. There is a pop-up that's on my blog as well. That will pop up the first time that you come to my website. I have 3 blasts that go out on my Twitter every single day that gives a link to my newsletter. So it's really important that I provide other content on Twitter as well. So it's not just essentially me spamming folks, but I feel fairly comfortable with that considering Twitter has a tweet's lifespan is about a minute. So if you don't get it in that 1 minute time frame, it's gone again. And then I also use InstaFreebie, which has become fairly popular in the writing world, and everybody's chatting about it. But that's been very effective for me. You set up a free book on there. They sign up for your newsletter in order to receive that free book, much like we have, as authors, have used for many years, but it makes it a much more easy, accessible platform in order to do that. I've gained thousands of subscribers through InstaFreebie, and it's been a really good platform for me. But again, that does cost money. Your first 30 days are free, and then you spend, I think it's $20 at the cheapest a month in order to maintain that service. And so it's really important that you have a strong newsletter reaching out to readers in order for them to stay subscribed. You will see that a large majority of them will unsubscribe after they grab your free book, but if you're engaging with them and you're connecting with them, many of them will stick around. That's my primary practice in gaining newsletter subscribers. I do also have automated stuff set up, which I know Andy and I have talked about before, but having some automated emails to go out and connect with them with your free books, reminding them to give a review, and having a personal touch about who you are as an author and what it is that you're offering, I think is also important.
Yeah, that sequence, that's another discussion topic. But like Josh, I've used InstaFreebie to gain subscribers. I've also done a few newsletter building promotions where basically 10 to 50 authors get together and they all send out a promotion to their list. Say, hey, win an Amazon, an iPad or a Kindle, and just sign up for your email. So then at the end of this, you get, the biggest I've ever gotten was 14,000 emails. And they are all cold emails. They don't know you from Adam. The chance that they're gonna stick with you is very slim. But the first time I did it, I gained 600 email subscribers, and I'm going to say 500 of them stuck around. The next time I did it, it went up 2,000 more, and maybe 1,000 of them stuck around. This last one I did was 14,000. I still have 13,000 subscribers, and only 7,000 are active. The rest have never opened or clicked anything. So you can count at least a 50% loss on the subscribers. But the last message I sent out got twice as many opens and clicks as anything I had ever sent out when I just had 1,000. So you do invest more, not only in paying for the promotion and the campaign, but also for the subscribers. But if you do it right with the automated sequence and engaging them and interacting with them, those people will stick around. And a lot of the people who have been emailing me saying, hey, I really like this new story, or I love the fact that you're talking about your Asperger's and all of that, they're people who I have just cold pitched through these different things. So if it's done right, these massive lists can be amazing. And of course, using InstaFreebie, a lot of people go there for the freebie and that's it. They will unsubscribe immediately. So you have to always assume that you're going to have a 25 to 50% attrition rate from these sites that deliver a lot of results, because some of them are on 10 or 20 or 30 other authors list before they ever saw your list. So no matter how much they like you, because you're the last one in, first one out kind of thing.
I also do BookFunnel. So I offer a free short story for joining, for signing up for my newsletter through BookFunnel. And I've had, I've just started doing that recently, and it's been fairly successful. And I have a tab, links everywhere, all over my website and everywhere to sign up. I do Rafflecopter giveaways whenever I have a book launch, and I'm on blog tours and things like that. And I do get subscribers that way. If I'm ever anywhere in person, I do a lot of in-person locally. I always have a newsletter sign up with me, and those people tend to stay because they've met me. I have a page on my Facebook page. I have a tab for it. But I will say, like, giveaway, yeah, I mean, there have been a couple people that have unsubscribed, and I'm always looking for new and better ways to do things and easier ways to do things for my readers. So, I'm always looking into better services. I do use MailChimp for my newsletter, but I'm interested in the MailerLite. I'll have to look into that. And then I've heard of Tiny Letter, which is one that's popping up that a lot of people are using. So, I'm going to check out a couple of other ways, because I agree, MailChimp's a little bit antiquated. It's a little complicated, and certainly, although it's free, it's very formulaic in the way it's laid out, and easy, but not, it can definitely get away from, the personal if you want to have a little bit more creativity in the way you set your newsletter up. So, but yeah, I think free books are key. It's just, like everybody's saying, it's not an overnight thing. You got to do a lot. You got to focus on what you're doing, and all about the connection. And, it isn't spamming. I mean, certainly, you don't want to just shoot something out there. Like we said, buy my book. It's a longer, more rewarding process, because when you do get those people who stick around, they're your people. And that's everything.
I will say this for the MailChimp versus MailerLite debate. I switched to MailerLite 3-4 months ago. The cost is a fraction of what you pay on MailChimp. MailChimp is free for the first 2,000 emails. I don't think it's 2,000 subscribers. It's 2,000 emails a month. So if you have a list of 1,000, you get 2 emails a month, and that's it. After that, the prices go up exponentially. To 13 or 15,000 to 20,000 subscribers on MailerLite is something like $60 to $70. To do that on MailChimp is in the hundreds. So MailerLite has much lower prices. The automation system is simple, it's effective. I've actually seen some sneak previews of new features that they're rolling out, which looks awesome. They're offering integration with InstaFreebie with a discount for InstaFreebie and MailerLite users. And the only downside I would say to MailerLite is that the templates for the newsletters are simpler. Like MailChimp has some beautiful templates, but MailerLite is simpler, and so you don't have as many design options. It's much more basic HTML that you have to work with.
Those are all really, really helpful points. So thank you guys for telling us a lot about that stuff. It's so useful. Not that long ago, newsletters were really not a big deal, and people didn't want to receive emails that much, and that's why blogs were big. So it's sort of switched. So it's great to have that information. The next thing I wanted to talk about is actually something that the only reason I'm asking this is because of the last Go Indie Now panel that I was on. So definitely go check that out. That was actually hosted by Jason Greensides. And the thing I wanted to ask you is, how useful do you find it to connect your social media platforms so that one posts to the other, which seems like it used to be a given? Again, like so many things change so fast. It used to be a given, but on this last panel for Go Indie Now, there were a number of authors that said, oh, I don't do that anymore. It's no good. It's too much of the same everywhere. So I wondered what you guys thought about that. Any of you? Do you connect? Like, do you all connect your?
Well, I gave my opinion on that in that show, but I'll do it again here as well. And that is, I connect because it's, again, I use it to connect from one platform to the other platform to the other platform to all funnel into one platform, which is my YouTube. And the thing about Facebook that's frustrating for a lot of people is also a thing about Twitter that's frustrating for a lot of people is that they have all these followers and all these people that they're involved, all those friends, and none of them see what they're doing. Well, integrating your platforms is a way to get people to see, because if you post on Twitter, that'll post on your Facebook timeline, and that'll go up to the top, and then, vice versa. And it goes, through that cycling. I just connected my Instagram to my Facebook, and that's been fantastic for my Instagram, because I just got like 20 or 30 followers that I didn't have before, who are people I've known forever. Didn't know I was on Instagram. So, it's just like, it helps cycle those through and get you seen better through each, integrating that way. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I do think some people have blasted me for posting the same thing on Twitter that I post on Facebook, and they see both of them, but you know what, deal with it.
I will say this about the cross posting. I've seen, Joe, your Twitter posts going to Facebook, and the danger of doing that is that the people who use Facebook are startlingly different than the people who use Twitter. Like, as authors, we're used to getting everything done. The average reader has one, maybe two of the social media. So you'll get people who are on Instagram and Snapchat and may never go to Facebook or Twitter. And so, like, I read something, a book by Gary Vaynerchuk, who says you've got to tailor your content to each platform. You can post the same content, but tailored. For example, I did virtual discussion panels on YouTube. The videos were 40 minutes long. But for Facebook, where people have a much shorter attention span, the ideal length of a video is anywhere from 7 seconds to a minute and a half. So I chopped up the videos, took snippets, and posted them to Facebook. Twitter, I don't think I posted the videos, but then I posted the link to the blog where you could find that. So it's good to post everything everywhere, but how you post it is more important, because now that I see Joe's Twitter posts, sometimes I end up scrolling past all of Joe's messages. I'm giving that as an example, not that I dislike you, Joe. But if you post Twitter content to Facebook, imagine seeing a 1,500 word post on Twitter. No way that would get any sort of traction. So you've got to be smart with what you post and where.
But in the same token, and I understand that, and I do post the same things to each platform differently in the way that you're supposed to post to Facebook and post to Twitter. But at the same token, it gets people who didn't know that I was on Twitter to my Twitter. It also gets people to recognize that I'm doing something, and they follow me all the way through all the social media. So if they're on Facebook and they see my Twitter post, they'll go and they'll take that and look me up on Facebook and follow me that way as well. So it works both ways. I agree with you, though. It does look awkward and feel differently, but that's just the platform that you're on, and it's the way that they format it. So you have to deal with that. But I mean, if you scroll past me, you scroll past me. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
No, I think it's all about, like you say, it does get results. But then if it's done too often or too I think if it's done with too much frequency, then people start to get fatigued by seeing the same thing, and that's when they start unfollowing authors, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook, and that's the worst thing that you want. You want people to be more engaged. So it definitely does work, that cross posting. Yeah. But there's the danger of it leading to the wrong result in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And I do I don't post as often as I should. Let me just say that. But I do cross post depending on what I'm doing. So my Facebook page, because nobody's really seeing that on Facebook unless you're paying for an ad these days, gets cross posted to Twitter because I am very, fairly active, more active there lately. So I feel like my Facebook page posts get noticed on Twitter more, which is crazy to me, but that's the case. Instagram, I pick and choose. Most of the time I do it to my author page and or Twitter. And I have to be careful because sometimes I forget that my author page posts to Twitter. So it will double post. But again, Twitter lasts a second, so it's fine. Some Instagram I just leave on Instagram, and that's fine too. And then I don't think we talked about this. I was on this service and off of it, Triber. I don't know if anybody uses Triber. I love it and hate it. It's a blog sharing. And so when I do a blog, and I will share everybody else's stuff, but when I have a blog, people will share mine. So I do cross-post those to my Facebook page because I'm really not on that page as much as I should be, and I feel like at least it's getting some activity. And people do read the blogs I share. It's other people's blogs. So I agree with Andy and Joe. I think you need to be everywhere, but I think it's how you are there. And I'm certainly not on social media as much as I should be. So for me, it works, but it has to be your comfort level. I also have a very, love-hate relationship with auto posts. I've used Hootsuite, I've used Buffer, and I've then I felt like guilty about it and had to get out of it. And now everything has to be me doing it myself. So I have this kind of like, it naturally doesn't feel good for me to schedule posts, but I also know if I'm not scheduling posts, I'm not out there because I don't have time to be on my computer all day long every day. So I've sort of lived with the fact that when I get home at night, I give myself that hour or two in the evening to do the social media because I'm not, I'm not scheduling them like I should. Or, like I could be, I should say. So it's to each their own. It's what works for you, what your comfort level is. And you know what? If I post less, but I'm there when I'm posting and that makes me feel good, then maybe I'll have less readers, but I'm doing what makes me comfortable. And I think we all have to find that comfort zone.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to add to that. In theory, I agree with Andy's position on that as well. But even with Joe, I do connect some things. Some things are, like my blog goes everywhere. When I do a blog, it goes to all my platforms in one fell swoop. I do not link Twitter and Facebook because, like Andy was saying, I believe those to be two different audiences, which I learned the hard way. For a while, I had those connected, and I know that I lost followers on Facebook and friends on Facebook because I was posting too much about book-related content. And on Twitter, I also like to attack politicians sometimes, and I don't want that going on Facebook because they're more volatile crowd. So it depends on what exactly it is that I'm putting out there and who I share it with. And most social media platforms like Instagram, they have links that you can click for what you want to share to other platforms and what you don't. So I turn those features on and off as I'm writing content, depending on what it is.
And I should have added or been more specific too about the Facebook. I have a profile and a page. My profile, I will friend anyone that I've connected with, but I'm very strategic about my profile. I talk books sometimes, it'll be more fun, but I'm more personal on my profile. My page is where my book stuff and cross sharing is. However, I will share a post from my Facebook page to my profile. So I try to keep them separate. It is hard, but I agree. I think if my friends, so on my Twitter feed, they might unfriend me because I don't even think most of my friends even know what Twitter is, or not that they don't know what it is, but they're not on it, or it overwhelms them because it can be very overwhelming if you don't know how to use it. So yeah, it's just a lot of different ways to manage these things.
Yeah, and I also just want to throw in there that paying attention to what cross-posting works and what doesn't is important. Like, for some reason, when I cross-post my Instagram posts to Twitter, I get some retweets on Twitter, and it's probably because there's a certain amount of characters that go up and I make them count, and so it works out. But it doesn't happen as often with Facebook. It really depends on what I post. It happens all the time with cross-posting Instagram to Twitter, though. So definitely pay attention to that and just like go with what's working for you because it is different for everybody. I do want to go back to newsletters for a minute. I knew this was going to be a popular topic, and we do have a couple of things. Andy has an important thing to cover, and we also have a question in the chat. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just stick in the chat question first. So the chat question is, can you talk about what works best for you as far as the offer or magnet to get newsletter subs? I know some use free books, but is there anything else that works for people without a large backlist?
You know, people are going to hate me for saying this, but I do use auto DMs on Twitter. For people who friend me on Twitter, get an auto DM. I like my auto DM. It essentially talks about how I won a biased Twitter poll and beat Christopher Paolini and George R.R. Martin's Dragons, and how I was put on a Housewives blogger list. And so it's a little bit different, and it kind of like people are like, what in the world is this guy talking about? And then it has my newsletter sign up on there as well. And I get some people are like, man, I hate auto DMs. I can't believe you did that. And I send them a wonderful GIF of something ridiculous. And then we start talking like, okay, you're actually pretty cool. I'll sign up for your newsletter. So I find that as being very effective. But for the most part, Insta Freebie, as I said earlier, has been my primary way of doing it through the free book.
Yeah, I don't have a current newsletter. I'm going to be coming out with one, so I can't really add much to that, but I do see mostly free books, and then like you said, putting something interesting out there. But I guess that books and short stories and stuff. How many of you offer like a free book or short story that has not been published at all? Because I know some people do that, but you have to have something that you don't want to publish but it's good enough to publish. So do any of you do that?
What I've got as my bonus thing is the first book in my Last View Solari series. Now I just changed it to that a couple of weeks ago because I now have books 2 and 3 in the series. So that book 1 has a great convert through. So people, when they get to the end of the book, they want to read the next ones, they're hooked. There's the next book's available. I've also used short stories. I don't know about short stories as the main hook. I know a lot of people have had great success with that. I use short stories as the sort of the reward for remaining subscribed. Every month I send out a short story, and now I'm putting that into a collection that I'll be publishing. And so using that, but I know some people do like a whole bunch of different rewards, whether it's swag, whether it's a free ebook of some sort or a paperback. Like there's so many different ways to do it. Basically, find what you think people would want, something creative. The more creative you are, don't only give away a book. Try find something new to give away that people want, and you'll have much better success rate.
And I'll do I do monthly giveaways in addition to the the free short story when they sign up, which is published, and but it's free to newsletter subscribers. But yeah, I'll do a monthly giveaway, different every month. Sometimes I'll do paperback, sometimes I'll do something else, depends. But people seem to join for that, and then I publish the winners, and I blast it all over Facebook, and so it's kind of just that's a reward too. So.
Andy, I know you had something else that you wanted to share with us about newsletters as well.
Yeah, it was actually 2 things. The first one is on Facebook, because that's where I hang out. There are a lot of groups popping up about different Insta freebie swaps. If you've got a story that you want to use to build newsletters, you can post it to Insta freebie, and you can join these different Facebook groups. You can probably just look for like Insta freebie swap or things like that, and you'll be bundled in with 20, 30, 50, 100 other authors, but you're each sending it all to your newsletter list. And so everybody's newsletter list, you are getting access, they're getting access to your story. And if they see your story and they like it, you include in the end of that Insta freebie thing, sign up for my newsletter. That right there leads people to join your newsletter. And especially if you've got another book or another short story to give away, it can be very effective, which of course leads to the newsletter swap thing, which is a hugely popular trend, and it's quite effective. You've got authors who are saying, hey, I will post your book in my newsletter on this date if you'll post mine and yours on this date. It's a great way to share to your readers. Like I do a thing where I say, hey, look, this is my list of freebies and goodies. So here's a book that's free, download it. This is a book that's at 99 cents, it's at 60% discount. Some months the list is super long and I feel bad for my readers. Other months there's just 1 or 2. But having that, and then I'll have a recommended read, which is a book that I've read and loved of another author's, and I recommend that in addition to my own. So having that gets like it's helping to build community. These other authors that I've swapped with, when the time comes for me to launch a book, they'll feature mine. So it's a great way to access other newsletter lists. Some people have 50, 60,000 newsletter subscribers. And if you can get your book in front of those 50, 60,000, that's huge results. But then there's the danger of that, is that if there's too much marketing content in these newsletters, you'll lose the engagement with the readers. So as you're building your newsletter, consider using these swaps as a way to put your books in front of other people and to give your readers something of value, whether it's discounted books or free books that they would enjoy. But be careful not to do too much, or else you could lose that engagement.
And I got to add one more piece to that. When you're doing a newsletter swap, I think it's also important that you're promoting something that you yourself value or that you would endorse in some way. Because when you're reaching out to your readers who have subscribed to your newsletter, they're trusting your judgment. And so you want to make sure that you're offering them something of quality and not just swapping with anyone who comes along the path. So there is that part, and I think that sometimes people forget about that. But if you continue to offer out books that are shoddy, you're probably going to lose some of your own newsletter subscribers at that point. Sorry, the coffee is beeping. It wants me to come get more.
I'm sort of laughing because shoddy books definitely will kill you in general. It doesn't matter. It's just not a good thing. If you guys don't mind staying for just one more question, I don't know, Josh, can your coffee wait for just one more question? Okay, great. I wondered, in terms of using like existing social media platforms in some kind of original way, I know it's really tough to come up with an original way because a lot of things have been done, even if it's original, like for your genre or something like that. You know, Joe, I'm also specifically thinking of Go Indie Now, which is not just interviews, but it has like the flagship show, which is like a whole, I mean, you have so much on there. I mean, how useful is it to try to come up with something really original, or do you sort of like think it's more useful to piece together things you know will most likely work based on what other people have done to create something that's still somewhat original in your, like, how do you create something original you think will draw people in no matter what platform it's on?
You know, it's just all about just getting creative. One thing that I did last year is I did a duel to the death on my blog, where I told other fantasy authors, okay, set your character up against my character, the half demon assassin, the hunter, and give me, you know, sort of a tale of the tape, what his skills are, what their skills are, what they've got, their weapons, all of that, and let's do a duel to the death, you know, Deadliest Warrior style. And I got a bunch of responses, had tons of fun with it, and posted it. And I haven't done it anymore recently, but people seem to like that. Or doing the live readings on Facebook. People go on Facebook Live all the time. I did a bunch of Facebook Live things, and I had no idea what to say. So now all I have to do is say, here's a little snippet from my latest book. Let me read it to you. And I love doing the, you know, the voices and the narration and all of that. So for me, it's a lot of fun. And I know other people do it. I think I actually ganked it from someone else. But taking something that is used or that is common and just putting your own little spin on it or your little twist, it can actually make it so much more effective than going completely out of the box. But then if you can find a way to go out of the box with something established, excellent results.
So I don't know if this counts or not, Christy, but one thing that I've started up this month is me and my brother, who's also my co-author, JC Boyd, we now play Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Om on my YouTube channel, and all the characters in the party are out of our books. So we've made characters based off of everybody in our books, and they travel through, you know, the and they have the characteristics of what our characters look like, and they fight bad guys Dungeons and Dragons style, and we have tons of fun with it. We yell at them and we shout at them, and we, you know, tell a little bit about their back history and their story and who they are as we're playing the game. We kind of just made it our own. We've just started it, so we'll see how well it does, but we have tons of fun with it, at least ourselves.
I started Sunday Fun Day, and I think that's been wildly successful because it's just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to have a day where I'm always posting and I'm, you know, putting something out there, putting content out there, and engaging other people to interact. And I think the one thing that I noticed, you know, just listening to Andy and Josh just now is that it's not so much about being original as it is doing something that you're passionate about, that you love, and that you put all your energy into. I mean, you can see it in Andy's face when he's talking. He's lighting up the whole entire panel because he's so excited about telling us about this. Josh was the same way, and I think that's what it is. It's not reinventing the wheel, but, you know, finding the wheels that work for your wagon, you know, and letting those roll, and that people will gravitate toward that. That's what they gravitate toward because you're showing who you are and what you're doing, and you know, you could probably, I bet you it would be super entertaining just to watch Andy Peliquin read the fucking phone book. Excuse my language, sorry. But you know, because he'll put so much passion behind it, you know, and he'll just and we'll go, why would I watch anybody read the phone book? But you know, the coolest, one of the things about YouTube that I find so interesting, and Josh is a part of this as well with the Goblin Horde, is people are watching other people live their lives on YouTube, and they're so into it. And it's like, I'm going to Target and I've just bought milk at Target. Why would that be so interesting? But it is so interesting because the person that's doing it is so behind it and so passionate about it. And that's what works. It's all about how much energy you put into it and how much you believe it's going to work. It doesn't matter what it is. Just put it out there and let the chips fall where they may. Some things are going to work, some things aren't. But, you know, I think if you have the passion behind it and the spirit, that's what sells it, and that's what makes it effective.
And I mean, I totally agree, Joe. I think I was thinking about what to say, because I'm like, I can't think of anything that was as cool as what you guys were talking about. But one thing I have started doing, and I'm not a video person, I'm just trying to get comfortable with it. I love the idea of YouTube. I absolutely love it, and I would love to get, I would love to start that, a little, get into that a little bit more. But what I have been doing is when I go places that are writerly or fun in my life, I take my phone out and I just do a quick little live video, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, something quick, like, hey, here's where I am, this is what I'm doing. I have done it a lot around writing events and things that were neat, but certainly just life. And one of the things, I don't know where it was that I heard this, but it was someone was talking about Hugh Howey and how he sort of, he rose, really quickly up the ranks with Wool. But one of the things he's been doing lately that people are just fascinated by are his 60-second live video. Sometimes he doesn't even talk in them. He'll just be like, if he's in a boat somewhere, he'll just, shoot the phone over the edge and take a video of what's going on. And people love it. Just like Joe said, they're fascinated by your life. Whether it's going to Target, sitting in the backyard. I mean, videotaping my dogs is like, they drive me nuts, but people love it. Or my fire. I mean, at my wood burning stove, I could literally do a video. I get more hits on my Instagram for my wood burning stove than anything else. So I think, yeah, being creative about what you're passionate about, the things that bring you joy in your life, and sharing them with your readers is really the best thing you can do, and whatever that looks like. And it may be different for all of us, but certainly, for me, it's getting out of my comfort zone and doing the video type stuff and sharing a little bit of my life, which it just, people are interested in that.
Another thing that I found is awesome is just make them laugh. One of the posts that I've gotten the most engagement on is I went to the convention or conference last year in October, and I was a finalist for an award. And I didn't win, so I got someone to take pictures of me pretending to destroy the convention center, with the post losing with dignity. And that's gotten the most, likes and comments of anything that I've ever posted. All of my super intellectual blog posts about psychology and stuff, people just love to laugh. So I love Josh's idea of posting the funny gifs. I know your wife Lillian also always is posting funny stuff of Lord of the Rings, and just making people laugh, because that's the thing that really, it creates that positive association in their brain with you, because you made them feel good. So if you can make them laugh, whatever you do, whether it's your dogs doing crazy things or your kids, Josh, you've got a gold mine right there with your kids doing crazy things, post that. That's the stuff that's more effective than a Facebook Live video. I think some of the videos on YouTube that have gotten the most hits is, when kids are doing crazy things or singing in the back seat or just stuff like that. If you can find something that'll make people laugh and smile and feel good, that's going to get you the best results no matter where you are.
And to one of my all-time favorite videos is by Christy Stratos, and that is when she went and looked for notebooks at the Staples or wherever she went. That was one of the coolest videos I'd ever seen. It was like that gave me the confidence to go and do stuff like that, because I was like, how could this be so engaging? But it's so engaging, and it was so much fun. Everybody go check that out. Go to Christy's page and find that video, because that video is awesome. That's one of my favorites.
It's so true. I know one of my most famous videos that I've done is where me and my son are driving in the car, and I ask him if he likes kiwi, and he tells me that he doesn't know what it is, and I start screaming, "It's delicious," like Will Ferrell. And he keeps trying to talk, and I keep going, "It's delicious," like just yelling over and over until he just busts up into laughter and he can't take it any longer. That's probably had the most views.
Yeah, I have to agree with all of you. Anything that makes people smile is on the lighter side. And of course, when you're really into something, even if it's not funny, your personality really comes out. People can relate to you. They feel like they're watching a real person. They're like hanging out with you, as opposed to, just watching some stranger, do serious things. So, and that can definitely vary quite a lot. It can vary from like going shopping at Staples to kids to, what all of you are talking about, funny stuff, tags, all that kind of stuff. And it's just definitely paying attention to what seems to hit it right. But, as you guys said before, when you're really passionate about something, everyone sees that and they're drawn to it for sure. So this has been an awesome discussion. Thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you so much to everyone who came and joined us in the chat. We have some really great positive comments about Andy's live readings and Sunday Fun Day and Goblin Horde and everything. So it's really, really nice to have you all here. And stay tuned because everyone's going to tell you where you can find them. I do have links down below, so make sure you check. You can see where you can find them on their website, on Amazon, and their mailing list. But let's go down the line again so you guys can tell us where to find you. Let's start with Josh again.
So anyone that's looking for me, I'm in North Carolina. You need to bring steak when you arrive at the door. The address. Now, the best place to find me is at robertsonwrites.com. That's ROBERTSONWRITES. That's also my username on Twitter. So shoot me a message and connect with me. Search for me on Facebook. Love to hear from you.
Great, and thank you so much for being here, Josh.
Thank you, Chrissy. Wonderful being back. Anytime.
Yeah, great, awesome. And I forget what order I went in last time. I think I went Christina next, or Andy. Okay, Andy, go ahead.
The best place to find me is at robertsonwrites.co. I got that that domain so that everybody who's going to look for Josh will accidentally find me. So there you go. Now, I'm Andy Peliquin everywhere on the internet, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Amazon or Goodreads, the dead social network. I'm all over the place as Andy Peliquin. My website is andypeliquin.com. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Christy. This was way more fun than I wanted to have tonight.
Good, Andy. Thank you so much for being here. And now, Christina.
Same. I'm Christina Rienzi everywhere. Website, christinarienzi.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads. And my website is connected to everything. And just check out my website, christinarienzi.com, and connect wherever you're hanging out. And I'm happy to hear from you. Thank you guys, all of you, and Christy. Really appreciate it. Great night.
Oh, thanks so much for being here, Christina. And finally, Joe.
You can find me, basically, my platform is GoIndie Now, and you can find it at goindienow.com. That leads to everything that I do on YouTube, which is really where you can find me, and that's Joe Dream 73 on YouTube. You can find me there. GoIndie Now, search for GoIndie Now, all one word, and I should pop up there as well. I'm GoIndie Now on Facebook, and myself, I just have a personal page on Facebook. My Twitter is JoeDream73, and come and find me on YouTube because I'm posting my next episode of my show, my flagship show tomorrow. So.
Great. Thanks so much, Joe. And thank you so much for being here. And I'm Christy Stratus. I am the host of The Writer's Edge, and I also have my own author stuff. I am the author of Anatomy of a Darkened Heart, and you can find me at christystratus.com. You can find me across all social media platforms. I do post different stuff across pretty much all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, anything I haven't mentioned, I'm probably there. So thank you guys so much again for coming. We'll be back on June 22nd with our next episode, and we will see you then.